The truth.
Welcome back! If you don't already know, it's me, Audie, with Middle-earth Mentors. Today we're going to be doing a video that I actually was not going to do, and then I caved to many requests to do it, and that is crafting! The reason I didn't want to do this is because when you first join a crafting guild, you get this letter in your mailbox that are in your bags that explains everything. It explains how to do everything with crafting. And apparently nobody reads this letter, so I'm going to do a fucking video so that you guys can understand this better. Crafting's pretty straightforward, although it can look a little intimidating at first, so hopefully this helps out with that. To start off, there is no level restriction to crafting that I'm aware of. You do, however, have to be out of the intro. You generally get out of the intro at level 5, so if there's a level restriction, it's 5. As soon as you get out of the intro, you will actually get a piece of paper that pops into your bags or into your mailbox and then goes into your bags that looks just like this. This isn't the one, but it looks just like this. Click it, use it, because it will give you a quest that will send you to the crafting person. I know it looks like a scrap piece of paper. It's not, it's a quest vector. So click it. It's called Outfitting Yourself and Others. Once you click it, you'll get a quest that says, go to a Master or Mister of Apprentices in Middle-earth. They're in pretty much every, they're in every starter zone for sure, and then a number of other towns that are low-level areas. So you will not have to go far from your starter zone. As you can see, I'm in my starter zone still, and mine is right here in the crafting hall. So we'll just go in there right now. Okay, here we are. So, now because I don't have the quest, you can't see the ring, but excuse me. But generally, this person would have a ring over her head now. As you can see, Mistress of Apprentices. This is the one you want to click. Click her. Now she will ask you which profession you want to learn, which vocation you want to learn. Now, as you can see, every vocation has 3 professions attached. So if you want to be an armorer, your 3 professions that come along with that are metalsmithing, prospector, and tailor. Of course, metalsmithing is the craft that actually makes the armor. Prospector is pretty self-explanatory. You go out there and you dig up ore for your armor. And tailor makes the other 2 types of armor, which is light and medium, and they do that using hides that you gather from animals you kill. You can just read down here and see which ones are attached to each vocation. A very good source, once again, is the LOTRO wiki for this if you want to learn more details about these like sub-crafts. Obviously, they're pretty self-explanatory. I mean, forester, you chop wood. Jeweler, well, jeweler makes jewelry, right? But if you want to know even more details past that, then the LOTRO wiki is where you go for that. The question I get asked the most about crafting is, I just rolled a minstrel, what craft should I do? I just rolled a hunter, what craft should I do? You know what? Do whatever you want! There is no craft attached to a specific class. There is no right or wrong answer to this. Your choice depends on what you want. So, as you can see, each vocation has 3 professions. Now, decide what you want for that particular class and figure out which one is the best that contains those things. So for example, I'm a Bjorning, I wear heavy armor. So let's say I decide, you know what, I want to make my own armor. I would go with armor because I can be a metalsmith and make heavy armor. Metalsmiths are the only ones that make heavy armor. If you're a light or medium armor class, pick something that has tailor in it. There is one catch to this. Many of the crafts are codependent on other crafts. So be careful not to pick one that has the codependency on another one. So for example, let's say you're that minstrel, you wear light armor. So you're like, okay, tailors make light armor, so I'm going to go be a tailor. And then you pick Yeoman that has cook, farmer, tailor. Problem is, Yeoman cannot turn hides into leathers that the tailor uses. So although you have a tailor, You are dependent on an explorer, forester, to make your hides into leather. So each vocation has one that is self-sufficient and one that is 50% dependent. So for example, this explorer, tailor, forester, prospector. The forester will turn the hides into leather for the tailor. So the tailor in this case, 100% self-sufficient because we have forester. Okay. This one's kind of weird because prospector is a gathering one, so it doesn't rely on anyone else. But for example, let's do tinker. Jeweler and prospector, those are self-sufficient. Obviously, a jeweler turns metal into jewelry. So your prospector goes out, gathers metal, you use it to make jewelry. Easy. Cook is your 50% codependent, meaning you can cook food. However, you don't have the profession attached here to get the ingredients to cook your food. That's farmer, which is attached to a different craft. You can see down here, yeoman. So make sure the base one that you want to do, let's say you want to make jewelry, or let's say you want to make armor, make sure you pick the one that is self-sufficient in that base craft. That is the only catch. Other than that, pick whatever you want. I mean, every toon eats food, so cook can go for every toon. Scholar, same thing. Every character uses scrolls and pots and everything like that. Everyone uses jewelry. Everybody wears armor. Everybody uses weapons. So there's no wrong answer. I mean, if you are, let's say, a champ and you use two metal weapons, 2 swords, 2 axes, or whatever, maybe a woodsman wouldn't be the best because you craft wood weapons, which are like bows, and you farm, so you make ingredients, and you pick up wood. So maybe this wouldn't be a great idea for champ, but however, champs do use bows. They are like an auto attack weapon, really, so this maybe wouldn't be the best idea, but it doesn't mean it's entirely useless. So really research what you want and make sure you're not stuck on that codependency one, because that might catch you. Otherwise, it's just your preference. So once you pick one, so for this one, we're going to pick Explorer. She'll ask you, are you sure? Yes, train. Yay! So as you can see right here, I got these 2 new buttons. Depending on the craft you pick, you will have 1 or 2 of these. Generally, you get 2. And what it is as soon as you click one when you're out in the world, it will track the material attached to that. So they'll show up on your mini-map as little blue dots. And then as you get close to them, you'll see like a green symbol with a cross tools on it. So you can run around the world and it'll track ones near to you, which is pretty nice. So now that we've done that, or open our bags, you can see all the things that it gave me. An explorer's guide. See this? This is this paper I was talking about that explains how to do your craft. Okay? Read this! If you want. I mean, obviously this video will answer hopefully all your questions, but it does explain how to do everything right here in this freaking paper. Okay, that's that. So I picked Explorer. You can see she gave me the related tools that I need for my craft. These are your starter tools. They are utter garbage. They're crap. They break after 10 uses, and you constantly have to switch them. So if I'm out in the world and I see a piece of wood and I have my axe on, great, I can chop wood. If I then go to a piece of ore and want to mine the ore, I have to open my bag, switch my tool to the mining tool, and then go mine. So you do have an option to get better of these. As you can see, I have a universal toolkit equipped, and you can see how much better it is. You can get those from Hobbit Gifts. The store has a slightly better version, I think. And where else can you get those? I think it's pretty much Hobbit Gifts. As well, you can craft tool sets that are one tool set that encompasses all of the tools. Like you can see the universal toolkit. I don't ever have to switch it because it's all of them combined into one. I just leave it on my character permanently. It just stays there. So as you level up, you can get better crafting tools. So don't worry about that. I know it's kind of annoying at the beginning when you have to repair your tools every 10 uses, but that will rapidly pass. So now, click on her because she has a quest for you. And you definitely want to take this quest because it explains a lot of how to proceed. So we're going to take all 3 because of course you have 3 subcrafts attached. Okay. Now, make sure you carefully read the quest text once it advances, because it's easy to fuck up. So I don't remember what the original craft panel button is. Mine is T. It might be T. I can't remember if I changed it, but anyways. You can also open it from here, crafting, okay, if you don't know what the keybind is. So we picked Explorer, so right away you can see here Crafting, Explorer, and then it's got my 3 subcrafts down here. Now what that quest sent me to do was talk to the representative of each of those crafts. So we're going to go talk to him.
What do you need?
Forestry, yay. Prospecting, yay.
Greetings.
And there's a tailor down here, of course, that's attached to tailoring.
What can I do for you?
Now, you can see here, they gave you some more presents. So open your bags, and you can open these crates. What they're doing is they're giving you free materials to start you off so that you can test out crafting and understand how to proceed. It's pretty basic. This is where you need to read your quest text. Each of these is attached to a subcraft, of course. So open your crafting. We'll start with Forester. Introduction to Forestry. It says, using the ingredients you received, craft a piece of brushed light leather. So each craft has a crafting station attached, and it will tell you on there. So if you go to Forester, click Apprentice, click something that you want to make, it will tell you on here the tool required, Forester's axe, facility required, workbench. So you can see the workbench is right here. If I'm standing over here at the forge, which is for metalsmithing, it will not let me do the forestry part. It'll let me do the prospector part. See? Because I'm making metal. So it's just like real life. You know, you use the proper stuff. So go back to Forester. What does it want me to make? Piece of brushed light leather. So obviously it shows up in green because you can make it. It shows you how many I can make, 3. I already have the tools equipped. So click make. And you can see here, it just does its thing. It has a kind of cool animation. Yeah, and you're done. Okay. Now the secondary half to this quest, this one's a little odd because it's Explorer. Not all of them have this. Wants me to craft a thin rowan board. So again, Forester. So Forester does leather and wood. Explorer is a nice one for classes that wear light and medium armor as a starter vocation, because A, you're completely self-sufficient, and you can sell the wood that you don't use. So that's kind of convenient. So click wood, rowan board. Once again, I'm at the right place. Make. And then you just wait, or you can watch them do their cool thing. Cool. Done. So now you can see thin rowan board is white. Because I have no more materials, I cannot make this. So we're going to go to the metalsmith next, which is my next quest here, Introduction to Prospecting. Click on the station. Now, obviously, Forester isn't what I want to do. I want to go to Prospector for this. So make sure you're in the right tab. Okay, click over to Prospector. What does it ask us to do? Craft a copper ingot. Okay, copper ingot 1, because they gave us the materials. Click make. And then you get to watch them do their cool thing. Generally, it's cooler than that. Okay, and once again, it went white. Done. So now, last but not least, use the ingredients you have. Oh my god, I can't talk today. Craft a rough cloth cloak. So of course, tailor also is at the workbench. Go to your tailor tab, open it up, processing. Make sure that you expand these menus. Okay, see, look at how much stuff I can make. If you just leave them closed, you might think, oh my god, I have nothing to make. Make sure to expand them if you want to see it. So it wants cloak, rough cloth cloak. Now you can see here brushed light leathers. That's what I just made over here in the Forester tab. See, brushed light leather. So this is a self-sufficient craft. Now often in recipes you're going to see the item that you made and then another requirement. So for example, bolt of rough cloth. It could be anything. It could be like silk thread or leather squares. I don't know, whatever. These aren't things you make. These are things you buy from the profession vendors and suppliers. And you can see it right on there. It says this ingredient is sold by suppliers. So if you go down to do a recipe and you're like, what the heck? Where do I get spool of rough thread? I don't know how to make that. Hover over it because it's a purchased one. And they're super cheap. don't worry about having enough money to afford it, you will. So again, rough cloak, we've selected it, click make. And we get to watch ourselves. So, there we go, cool. All right, now we've completed all of them, so it wants us to turn it in, obviously. So go back there, finish the quest. And go back to the other guy. He's 2 for us. Finish.
What do you need? Greetings.
Finish. Now you will see that you have a title, Easily Lost, which I quite like, and a deed. You completed the vocation tier 1 of that. Now, make sure to go back to this lady and get this quest. It might not show up. You can see it's silver for me. Practice makes perfect. Get this quest. You know why? Because all you have to do is accept it and then immediately turn it in and you're done. And what she gives you is pretty cool. So you see these little like purse looking icons here? These are ingredient packs. And she just gave us 3 ingredient packs. And what that means is I can pick any of these things to craft. Say padded shoulder guards. You can see here I have no ingredients. I don't have anything to make this, but I have 114 ingredient packs. So if you click here, use ingredient packs. Now I can make this item using an ingredient pack, and it will create the item without me having to actually have the materials. But, and you can see it here, warning, they will be bound to your account upon creation. When you make a thing, for example, the cloak that we just made, you can see here it's not bound to me. It says bind on equip, which means it doesn't bind until you put it on, which means I can sell this or give it away or trade it. If you use ingredient packs, you cannot do them for profit. You can send them to your other characters, but you can't list them on the auction house or something to be sold for money. So don't use your ingredient packs unless you're making an item for you specifically to wear. So that's kind of a nice thing if you have, you know, you made your whole suit here and then you get to shoulder guards and you're like, oh, I'm, you know, 1 leather short and I don't feel like going out and getting one. And you can complete your set with some ingredient packs, which is kind of nice. All right. So they gave us a nice little starter box with the ingredients in it, but for the rest of the game, you have to gather your own ingredients. So we're going to go do that just to show you how it is. Oh my god, look at that! She was flying! Amazing. Okay. So once again, we get to demonstrate these buttons. So in Explorer, my 2 subcrafts are Prospector and Forester. So I have Prospector track mines and Forester track wood. So let's do track wood. So click it. And as we ride along, they'll show up on your mini-map if you're close to one. Now hopefully I can actually pick up some in this area. I should be able to. Try to avoid the enemies here because I'm only 9. Oh my god, is there no ore? Really? Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna go find some ore and then I will be right back. Okay, I'm back. I just wanted to show you this because I switched to the prospecting track mines and right away it popped up 2 on my mini-map and it's perfect. So you can see the blue arrow here means obviously there's one over there. It's not on my screen. And the green with the cross tools here, it's right in front of me. There it is. So when you see a node, ride up to it. You can farm it from your horse, which is cool. Right click it. You can see mining. Now, that was pretty quick because I have the universal tools. If I was using the shitty tools, so here, we're going to put my prospector's pick on. We're going to ride over to this other ore right here. Click it. Watch how long it takes me now. Easily twice as long. So you want to get better tools soon after. I think the next level you can get crafted tools is 20, but there's no level restriction to having these universal tools that I have. Where are they? You can put those on at any time. So that's kind of a cool thing. All right. For the rest of this video, I'm actually going to alt to a character that has crafting done, and so that I can show you what it looks like as you go along. So, I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. I decided to show you on a character that has her crafting finished, because it's hard to demonstrate on a character, obviously, that doesn't have it done. So, this character is completed her crafting. Current max tier is 13, and you can see here it's Minas Ethel tier, that's what it's called. Now, why I wanted to show you this more or less is these anvils here. So when you first started a craft, like you saw what we just did, you saw that as we went along in gathering items and making items, the the experience bars beside the title here started to fill up. There will be 2. So once you fill up the first one, you can see here the anvil will turn solid, and then you'll have a second one that you need to fill up for the anvil to turn solid. It's called mastery once you get the second anvil. Now the reason that is a thing is because depending on, so your main craft, so for example the main craft of Tinker is jeweler, that's the one that makes jewelry obviously, you do not hit crit capabilities until you hit your mastery experience part. So you can see here if I click on jewelry, if I had just filled up the first anvil or I was just starting out, this up here would be my only option for a crafting result. Once you get to mastery, you open up this bottom part here that is your crit part. So it's the same earring, or same ring, a bracelet, it is a bracelet. But the stats are better if it crits. It's like a critical crafting result. Okay, so that's the big thing with these. You want to get both of them. As well, for the main craft only, the game will not let you progress to additional tiers without having this filled up past 2, I think. So for example, if I had apprentice with only the first one done and half of the next one, it'll let me do journeyman. It'll let me pick up the materials. It'll let me craft in this one. It'll let me fill it up. But then it won't open mastery anvil until I finish this one. I think it's either 1 or 2. So either you'll get stopped at journeyman or stopped at expert for that. Yeah. I'm not 100% sure if you have to fill it up all the way. I believe you do. The cool thing with that is you don't have to fill it up for your side crafts. So for Explorer, for example, we had Tailor, Prospector, and Forester. Since Prospector and Forester are gathering ones, you can just do the first anvil on all of them because there is no crit result here. Well, that's not true. There's a crit that gives you additional amounts of these. So you'll get 3 instead of 1, but there's no stat differences because it's just materials, okay? Same thing, and it's the same the whole way down. So if you are doing an Explorer as another character, so for example, once I had all the main crafts, I just made all my characters Explorers so that they could gather materials and send them to the other ones for their main craft. I don't need to bother getting mastery on prospecting and the wood, the forestry, because I have so much of it, I don't require that. So it really cuts down on your gathering time. However, I don't suggest doing that until you have all the crafts, basically. So get both of these, pretty much is what I'm saying. You gain XP with them by making the things, of course. So go to here, pick a thing. You can see Apprentice Craft XP earned, 10. So the amount, it doesn't say here because we're full. But you'll have to make enough of these to get your XP, of course. Now, I don't know how loud the music is, so I'm going to just... There we go. Hopefully it's not too loud for you guys. It's hard to hear when I record, so I don't want to deafen you. So that's what I wanted to demonstrate with this, that you should be focusing on getting both of these. Now, when you're out and about in the world, and let's say you're prospecting, you're picking up ore, if you only have, let's say you've got to expert with... your expert is open, but you're only still in this first level here. It will not let you pick up materials past that. So if you're questing and you go to a new area and the materials there are the tier ahead of where you are, you cannot pick them up. So you really want to keep up with your gathering so that when you hit a new area, you are able to gather all the stuff there and not miss it, and then have to return later and pick it all up. That's super annoying. As well, something I forgot to mention on the other toon, now that you have a craft, if you go to your map, now this is probably a terrible idea because there is nothing here in this part of the world. We'll go here, we'll go to, where's Dol Amroth? There we go, come on, there. So now that you have your craft, you will see on the map these yellow anvils. These are your crafting stations. They're all represented by the yellow anvils, and they're all over Middle-earth in almost every town, everywhere. If you don't see them on your map, same as everything else, map notes, make sure you have select all on here so that they show up. So you'll get to see that from now on, which is nice. As well, there is something they introduced a couple years ago which really helped us, which is called processing. And what that is it's basically a way to power level your crafting by destroying materials you already have. So if we wanted to, let's see here, where is it? So processing, you can see here. So normally how you would level a jeweler is obviously you pick, silver bracelet and you make 500 silver bracelets until your XP gets to the max. But that takes a long time. It's really, if you want to sell them on the auction house, go ahead. Most people probably won't buy them. I find it just easier to do processing. What that is you go down to the processing tab, and so you have silver ingots, for example, because you collected ore with your prospector. So you have the option to turn these silver ingots into silver shavings. And the turnaround, I believe, is half. So if you start with 30, it's something like that. It's quite a steep turnaround. Like if you start with 30 silver ingots, you get 15 shavings or something like that. See, 2 to 4. I don't know the exact math because it depends on if you crit on them or not, which sometimes happens. But what will end up happening is, so you turn your ingots into silver. Then you go to here, turn your shavings back into ingots, back into shavings, back into ingots, back into shavings, over and over and over. What will happen is eventually you'll run out because they will destroy themselves. Because obviously if it's 2 to 1, eventually you're not going to have enough. But by doing that, you also leveled up your craft because you get XP every time. See? Earned 8 XP. So that is super, super helpful. Keep in mind, of course, it destroys your materials, but it's probably how I level all of my main crafts now because, what am I going to do with 300 shields of light or, silver necklaces? Nothing! They're just garbage. So I use the processing. So that's a nice little add-on that they did. It was really convenient for us. Now, there is a cool thing that you can do. If, let's say, you picked jeweler or tinker, and you get halfway through and you're like, you know what? I hate being a jeweler. I want to be, I don't know, an explorer or anything else. Pick anything else. You can change your craft. There's nothing stopping you from picking a new profession at any time that you wish. The only catch is you will lose all the experience for all of the things that you learned unless they have the same craft in the new one. So for example, if this character went screw jeweler, screw tinker, I hate it, I want to be an explorer. Fine. Go over to the mistress of apprentices, same as before. Click on her. She'll ask you, do you want to change your vocation? Yes. Pick explorer, and it'll change you to an explorer. Now, because explorer has prospector, I would become an explorer with this much finished. My entire prospector would be complete. You retain all that you learned. But explorer does not have cook or jeweler, so these are completely deleted. So if you decided in a month to go back to tinker, you have to start jeweler and cook from the beginning. So they only hold on to the craft if it is the same on the other one, if that makes sense. Let's see what else. Also, as you're leveling, and you probably saw this on the other toon, when you first pick a craft and open up, your very first tier, you do get a lot of these recipes auto-bestowed to you. So here's the difference. So when this character was level 5 and she decided to be a jeweler, she got all of these here automatically opened for her, so she can make these right away. These here with the little symbols beside them are recipes that you pick up from mobs, from questing, from drops everywhere. There's tons. You'll get recipes for everything. Do I have any recipes in my bags? No, I do not. It does not look like I do. Nope. Okay. So I have no recipes. But you'll see them in your bags. They look like a little scroll, and they will have the relevant craft on them if you just hover over them. So obviously if I'm a tinker, I don't need metalsmith recipes, so I could just garbage those. But make sure you are opening and using the recipes that drop. Like I said, they drop a lot. As well, there are a number of quests around Middle-earth you can do that will give you a scroll case that you get to choose, and you get a nice purple recipe out of it. And also you can get recipes from your guild person, which we are going to get into here. So, I'm not sure if you noticed, but when we were in the crafting hall on my baby toon, there was an NPC standing right beside the Mistress of Apprentices called the Guild Master, Guild Rep, or something like that. Something with guild in it. And what that is you can guild your main craft and get better results. So the main craft in a tinker is jeweler. This is a gilded jeweler. So what you do is you click on that NPC and they will ask you, do you want to join the Jewelers Guild? And you'd say, yeah, sure. So then what happens is you get a whole new rep thing. So you can see here, Jewelers Guild. It starts off, it's sort of, your Jewelers Guild rep sort of mirrors your levels here. So you'll start off at like apprentice and blah, blah, blah. And what that is your guild will have recipes that you can buy to make guild rep items. So, for example, or we'll start with this. We'll start at the beginning. You can't get a guild until you're expert tier. So once you get to expert tier, then you will have access to the guild. So get to expert tier first. Then if you choose to guild, go to the guild person, click on them. Now you can see here, Jewelers Guild. Once you join a guild, you have access to a bunch of NPCs that have different types of recipes. One of them will be these symbols. They're different for every toon, every craft, but all the crafts have have them. Now you can see here, medium expert symbol. If you hover over it, it tells you, faction, Jewelers Guild, 900 points. So what you need to do to level your guild rep is to craft these expert symbols, a medium expert and small expert, after you buy the recipe from the guild person, and then it will make this item and it'll go into your bags. Right click it just like any other rep item and it will level your Jewelers Guild rep. Now you have to keep your Jewelers Guild rep leveling as you go, otherwise you, just like gathering, you will not have access to the next tier of guild things. So if we were to give an example here, so there's an etched ruby earring of willpower. So we're just gonna do this here and we're gonna see if I have the I don't okay, well, I don't have the direct correlation here, but basically what it is you'll gather a lot of your recipes and stuff as you level just from the landscape, and each tier will have recipes that auto bestow. Guild one will give you generally the same item, but the recipe will have way better stats. So this isn't a great comparison because they're not the same item, but often what'll happen is you'll see here just, ruby earring of willpower. And then you go to your guild and you see, etched ruby earring of willpower. The stat types are the same, so it would be like will on this one, vitality here, vitality here. But the guild one will have way higher stats. The stats will be way better. And as you can see, it's a teal item, meaning it's damn good, right? The thing that a lot of guild recipes come with is that you have to make a symbol to do the recipe. And you're also trying to make the symbols to level your guild, and they have a long cooldown. See, look at that, 2 days, 18 hours. So just keep in mind you might want to level your rep with the guild before you're using your items to craft the actual item, but it's totally up to you. It doesn't matter. And you can use ingredient packs for these too. So that's pretty sweet. Yeah, so basically being in a guild allows you better recipes. That's pretty much it. they're pretty much the best recipes that you can buy. So if you want to make jewelry, but you don't care if it's the top jewelry, then you don't have to guild. It's just another level of rep you don't have to grind. If you want jewelry and you want it to be the good jewelry, you know, as best as you can craft, get your guild rep and pick a guild. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, and also once you join a guild, there will be guild halls around Middle Earth. They're not very many. So you'll have to go to them to buy the recipes every now and again. I can't remember where all of them are. Like, for example, I know one of the Jewelers Guild locations is in Esseldin in the North Downs. There's one in Dol Amroth in Gondor. There's not many. So just keep in mind that that could be a bit of a travel for you. As well, now they've introduced a cool thing where you can actually guild 2 options. Now, only the main craft guilds, so there's no Prospectors Guild, okay? There's no Foresters Guild, because those are gathering professions. However, there is a Cooks Guild. So before you had to pick one to guild it, which means if I wanted a gilded cook, I had to do it on a completely different character, which was a real pain in the ass. Now, I can guild a cook and a jeweler on the same character, so that is really, really convenient. Just keep in mind that one of them is going to be 50% codependent. Like, neither of these make ingredients for my cook, so she needs a farmer. So just keep in mind, the second one is going to be a lot harder, unless you have an alt that can craft alongside. The LOTRO wiki, like I mentioned in every video, is a good resource. It lists off where the crafting halls are, where the NPCs are, as well. If you would like to know which recipes your guild has and your craft has for the entire game, like if you want to know, I want to know every single artisan recipe for a jeweler, period, they're all listed off there and where to get them. So that's super convenient. Let's see what else. Oh, and also a good benefit to guilding is that gilded crafters make legendary weapons. You cannot make them if you're not a gilded crafter past the 3rd age, which is the standard ones that drop off. If you want a 2nd age or a gold 1st age, which is very important once you hit level 100, that is a crafted item. So you need to have a guild crafter for that. So if that factors into your craft choice, then keep that in mind, but that doesn't come into effect till level 100, so don't worry about that. But yeah, you can craft weapons as soon as you get to that level. What level would be? Well, yeah, so it would be Supreme would be the start of your, oh, maybe not. No, I guess not. I guess it would be Master. Either one of those tunes. Eventually you'll be able to craft your legendary weapons. Let's see. I think that's about it, actually. Let's see. We went over that you can change. We went over proficiency. Oh, the last thing is just something cool. Once you get past tier 10 of these, so that would be, I think it started with Doomfold. A lot of the recipes that we would have normally had to buy are now auto-bestowed. So that was really nice of them. For example, essences. They gave us essence recipes now. This didn't used to be the case. We used to have to buy them, and they were single use. And that's something I didn't mention. So often the recipes that you will get dropped off of mobs and in the landscape are called single-use recipes. So if I go down here... Oh, those aren't single use. Where's my single use? There we go. So these ones with the icon, these are single use. So obviously I have a ruby earring. If I make this, this disappears off my options because I used the recipe, it's gone. Now I need to get another recipe for this ruby earring to have 2. The ones that are auto bestowed with you are permanent. You can make them 1,000 times and they'll never go away. So just watch what you have. Some of them are single use, some of them are not. It's just a thing. I don't know. I think that is it. Little thing down here, hide when crafting. That's cool. That means this window will go away when your character is actually doing the thing. Again, search bar. That's always nice to have. I think that's it, honestly. Like I said, crafting is pretty straightforward. Gather the materials, make the thing. That's it. It's pretty easy. The only one that is slightly confusing is cook. It took me a little bit to understand how cook works, because often, so for example, often the food that you want to make, let's say in the expert tier, needs ingredients that you need to make from journeyman and apprentice. Like it'll ask for, I don't know, a dry pie crust. Well, in all the other crafts, the ingredients are generally in the same tier. But for some reason, cook, like, oh, dry pie crust, that's like apprentice. So you have to go back up here and make sure you still have materials from this tier to make the thing for this, to make the thing for this. So cook is kind of fucked up that way. I found it rather annoying, but the rest are pretty straightforward. And of course, auction house always has lots of stuff for sale for supplies. And the more alts that you have with crafts, the easier it is for you. But other than that, pick a craft, explore Middle Earth, gather your shit, make cool stuff, and that is it. See you later.